Hello everyone. Welcome to our Exploring English podcast channel, and are you looking to improving your English speaking and listening skills? Look no further. Our podcast conversations are the perfect way to improve your English language skills. By watching our podcast conversations, you'll be able to hear authentic English spoken at a natural pace by native speakers, helping you to better understand the language and improve your listening skills. Additionally, by listening to our conversations, you'll be able to pick up on common English phrases and idioms, helping you to improve natural when speaking English. So, join us for our podcast conversations and take your English language skills to the next level.
All right, let's dive into something pretty important today. Something that really, touches all of us in one way or another.
Yeah.
World Cancer Day. Now, I know some people might roll their eyes and think, oh, another awareness day.
Right.
But you and I both know it's so much bigger than that, right?
Absolutely. It's not just about, wearing a ribbon and feeling good about ourselves. It's a day, well, actually, it's more like a springboard for real action.
Exactly. And we've got a whole stack of research here, articles, reports, the works. So our mission today is to, go beyond the surface and give our listeners, that deep dive they've come to expect.
Love that.
So first things first, World Cancer Day is February 4th. Mark your calendars. And it's basically a global rallying cry to unite against cancer.
And when we say unite, we mean everyone. Scientists, doctors, policymakers, everyday folks, everyone's got skin in the game.
Okay, so let's rewind for a sec. How did this whole thing even get started?
Well, back in 2000, the Union for International Cancer Control, UICC for short, they decided it was time to make some serious noise about this global problem.
And they realized early on that they couldn't do it alone, right?
Exactly. The UICC was all about building a network, bringing together all those different players I mentioned.
And it's mind-blowing when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
One day, marked on the calendar, sparking a global movement.
It's powerful stuff.
But let's not sugarcoat it. The World Health Organization estimates that nearly 10 million lives are lost to cancer every single year.
Yeah, that's almost unimaginable, isn't it?
It really is. A whole city just gone.
And we can't forget, those numbers, they represent real people. Each loss creates ripples, affecting families, friends, entire communities.
That's why World Cancer Day is so important. It forces us to confront that collective pain, but also to remember that we're not alone in this fight.
That sense of solidarity is so crucial.
Now, speaking of fighting, each World Cancer Day has a theme, right? Like a battle cry to focus our energy.
Exactly. And for 2025, the theme is Close the Care Gap. Powerful, right?
It is, because it reminds us that not everyone have equal access to the best treatment or even just information about cancer.
It's a call to action to level the playing field, to ensure that everyone has a fighting chance, regardless of where they live or their financial situation.
All right, so let's talk action. I think a lot of people hear about a global issue like cancer, and they feel kind of helpless. Like, what can one person really do?
Oh, I hear that a lot. But the truth is, even small actions can make a difference. Remember Lance Armstrong, Sheryl Crow.
Oh yeah, they were really vocal about their cancer journeys.
They didn't shy away from the tough stuff. And by sharing their stories, they raised awareness, they raised funds, they became advocates, not just for themselves, but for everyone affected by cancer.
That's true. They showed the power of a personal story. But okay, say I'm not a celebrity. Where do I even begin? What can I do to actually make a difference?
Well, first and foremost, knowledge is power. The more you understand about cancer, the causes, the symptoms, the prevention strategies, the better equipped you are to make informed decisions.
So it's not just about donating money, it's about educating yourself and then spreading that knowledge.
Exactly. But it's also about supporting those on the front lines, the researchers, the doctors, the caregivers.
And of course, the people battling cancer themselves.
Absolutely. And let's not underestimate the power of simple gestures. Wearing a ribbon, sharing information online, it might seem small, but those actions spark conversations, raise awareness, show solidarity.
It's like that saying, a single spark can start a fire.
I love that, because it's true. Your small action might inspire someone else, and their action might inspire another, and so on. It creates a ripple effect.
Wow, I'm starting to see how it all comes together. Every little bit counts, whether it's donating to research, participating in a fundraiser, or simply offering a listening ear to someone going through treatment.
Exactly. World Cancer Day is a reminder that even though this problem is massive, we're not powerless. There's so much we can do.
Okay, so we've talked about the history, the impact, and some ways to take action. But I think it's time to, dive a little deeper into the world of cancer. What's actually happening right now in terms of research, treatment, all of that?
Oh, there are some really exciting things happening. Advancements in treatment and technology are moving at an incredible pace. We're seeing new therapies emerge that are more targeted, less invasive. There's a lot of hope out there.
Okay, I've got to ask about this one. Immunotherapy, it almost sounds like science fiction. Is it really as revolutionary as it seems?
Immunotherapy is definitely a game changer. Basically, it's harnessing the power of the body's own immune system to fight cancer cells. It's showing incredible potential, especially in treating certain types of cancer that were previously very difficult to manage.
Wow, that's incredible. It sounds like we're on the cusp of a new era in cancer treatment.
I think so. But of course, there are still challenges. We still have a lot to learn about cancer, and access to these groundbreaking therapies is a major issue.
Right, not everyone has the same opportunities.
But the fact that we're even having these conversations, that research is moving forward at such a rapid pace, it gives me so much hope.
I hear that. So, while World Cancer Day reminds us of the immense challenges we face, it's also a celebration of the progress being made and the potential for a future where cancer is no longer a death sentence, but maybe, just maybe, a manageable condition.
Absolutely. And that future is being shaped not just by scientists and doctors, but by everyone who chooses to get informed, take action, and lend their voice to this fight.
And this is where it gets really interesting, and we'll dig into this more after a quick break. We'll break down the latest advancements in prevention and treatment, and we'll explore how you can become a more effective advocate for change.
We'll talk about personalized medicine, which is tailoring treatment to an individual's unique genetic makeup.
And we'll look at the World Health Organization's Global Action Plan for Cancer and how it aims to close that care gap we talked about.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Last time we talked about the origins and impact of World Cancer Day and how even small actions can contribute to the fight. Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty and explore the world of prevention.
Prevention, yeah, it's actually fascinating because it's where science and personal choice really intersect. You know, you're not just passively receiving treatment, you're actively taking control of your health.
I like that. That's empowering.
It is.
But sometimes it's hard to know where to even start. There's just so much information out there, it can feel overwhelming.
Absolutely. So let's break it down. We could talk for hours about lifestyle factors, but I think for today, let's focus on the things that make the biggest impact.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so there's no getting around it. Smoking is it's public enemy number one when it comes to preventable cancers.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that, right?
Right.
But it's not just lung cancer we're talking about, right?
Right, exactly. It's not just lung cancer. We're talking about throat cancer, bladder cancer, even pancreatic cancer.
That's a scary list.
It is.
Okay, so smoking is out. What's next?
Diet plays a huge role. Now, I'm not saying you have to become a raw vegan and live on kale smoothies or anything like that.
Oh, thank goodness.
But what you eat, you know, it can either fuel or fight cancer cells.
Those smarter choices, basically.
Yes. Think of it like this. More color on your plate equals more protection in your cells. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, they're packed with antioxidants that act like little bodyguards fighting off damage.
Oh, I like that. The little bodyguards.
Yeah.
So I should swap those potato chips for bell peppers then.
See? You're getting it.
All right, what about sugary drinks?
Oh, yeah, those too. Swap them for water whenever possible.
Got it. Load up on the good stuff. Cut back on the junk.
That's the idea.
It sounds simple enough, but you know how life gets.
I know.
Sometimes those chips just call your name.
It's okay. It's about progress, not perfection. Even small changes add up.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
Good. Now, let's talk about something everybody loves.
What's that?
Sunshine.
Uh-oh. Here goes the sunscreen lecture.
It's not a lecture, it's a life-saving tip.
Okay.
Skin cancer is incredibly common, but you know what? It's also very preventable.
So sunscreen, shade, hats.
You got it. Those are your weapons against those harmful UV rays.
All right, you convinced me. Sunscreen it is.
Good. And don't forget those regular skin checks.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Early detection is key with skin cancer.
You know, sometimes I get a new mole or something and just kind of ignore it.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
But maybe I should be more proactive about that.
You should. Speaking of proactive, did you know some cancers can actually be prevented with, get this, a shot?
Wait, really? Like a vaccine for cancer?
Well, not for cancer itself, but for viruses that can cause cancer. Like the HPV vaccine, it can drastically reduce the risk of cervical and throat cancer.
Wow, I did not know that.
See? Knowledge is power. That's what we're all about here.
That's incredible. Knowing this kind of stuff can literally save lives.
It really can. And speaking of saving lives, let's shift gears a bit and talk about treatment. Remember those groundbreaking advancements we talked about before the break?
Oh yeah, immunotherapy and personalized medicine.
Right, those are the big ones. Immunotherapy is, well, it's pretty amazing because it's basically turning the tables on cancer. Instead of directly attacking cancer cells, which can harm healthy cells too, we're now like supercharging the body's own defenses.
So like giving your immune system a boot camp to fight cancer.
That's a great way to put it. There are different types, but the goal is the same: to help the immune system recognize and destroy those rogue cancer cells.
And it's working, like actually working.
For some patients, the results have been incredible, really remarkable.
That's amazing to hear. Okay, now what about personalized medicine? What makes it so personalized?
Well, think of it like a detective analyzing a crime scene. By examining a tumor's DNA, doctors can pinpoint the specific mutations that are driving its growth.
Okay, so it's like getting a blueprint of the cancer, and then what?
And then they can target those mutations with laser precision. It's all about creating a custom treatment plan.
So more effective and fewer side effects.
Exactly. It's changing the game.
These advancements give me so much hope for the future. But I'm also aware that access to these treatments isn't equal for everyone.
Yeah, that's a very real and very crucial point. Closing the care gap isn't just about scientific progress, it's also about social justice.
Right. Everyone deserves a fighting chance.
Exactly. Everyone deserves access to the best possible care, no matter who they are or where they come from.
So that brings up the whole topic of advocacy. What can we do to make sure these life-saving treatments are available to everyone?
Well, there's a lot we can do. We can support organizations working to improve access to cancer care. We can contact our elected officials to advocate for policies that prioritize cancer research and affordable health care. And we can raise awareness about these disparities.
So even if we're not scientists or doctors, we can still be advocates.
Absolutely. Every voice matters in this fight.
We've covered so much in this deep dive. Prevention, cutting-edge treatments, the importance of advocacy. It's clear that the fight against cancer is multifaceted.
It is, and it's a fight that requires all of us working together. But before we wrap up, there's one more crucial aspect we need to address: the emotional and psychological impact of cancer.
That's the side of cancer that often gets overlooked, but it's just as important as the physical aspects, isn't it?
It really is.
So join us in part 3 as we explore that emotional roller coaster of a cancer diagnosis. We'll talk about the importance of support systems and the power of hope and resilience. Welcome back to our deep dive on World Cancer Day. We've talked about prevention, treatment, even advocacy, but there's another piece of this puzzle, one that we can't ignore.
Yeah, you're right. Cancer, I mean, it's not just a physical battle. It's it's an emotional and psychological one too. And honestly, that part often gets overlooked.
I think there's, maybe a stigma around talking about the emotional impact. People feel like they have to be strong all the time, put on a brave face.
Absolutely. But that's not realistic, is it?
Not at all.
A cancer diagnosis, it can bring up a whole whirlwind of emotions. Fear, obviously. Anxiety, sadness, anger. And it's so important to acknowledge those feelings, to process them.
And I imagine it's not just the patient going through that emotional roller coaster, right?
Right, exactly.
What about their loved ones? The families, the friends, the caregivers, they're all affected too.
You're so right. Cancer, it really impacts entire communities, not just individuals.
Yep.
And everybody involved needs support, someone to talk to, a safe space to share their fears and anxieties.
So where can they turn for that kind of support?
Well, it can come from different places. Family and friends, they're often the first line of support, of course. But sometimes it's helpful to, connect with others who truly understand what you're going through.
You're talking about support groups.
Yeah, exactly. Support groups, they provide a sense of community, of shared experience. They can be a real lifeline for patients, for families, for caregivers.
And what about professional help? When does it make sense to, seek guidance from a therapist or counselor?
Well, therapy can be incredibly helpful, for processing all those difficult emotions that come with a cancer diagnosis. It can help patients develop coping mechanisms for managing stress, anxiety, even depression.
So it's not a sign of weakness, then, to seek professional help?
No, not at all. It's actually a sign of strength, It's taking proactive steps to take care of your mental and emotional well-being.
But I guess there's no one-size-fits-all approach here.
Right, exactly. What works for one person might not work for another.
So what are some different coping mechanisms that people have found helpful?
Oh, it really varies. Some people find comfort in mindfulness practices like meditation or yoga. Others turn to maybe creative outlets like art or music or writing. Spending time in nature, connecting with loved ones, even just indulging in simple pleasures, these things can all contribute to emotional well-being.
It's about finding what brings you joy, what helps you feel grounded amidst the chaos.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's about accepting that, well, that it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's okay to grieve, to be angry, to feel overwhelmed. Suppressing those emotions, it can actually be more harmful in the long run.
And this brings us to, well, to a difficult topic, hope. How do you maintain hope when facing a cancer diagnosis, especially if the prognosis is uncertain?
Hope is it's a complex thing. It's not about ignoring the reality of the situation, but about finding a reason to keep going, to keep fighting, to believe in the possibility of a better future.
But where do you find that hope, when things feel so bleak?
Honestly, it can come from the most unexpected places. It might be a new treatment breakthrough, a moment of connection with a loved one, even just a simple act of kindness from a stranger. Sometimes it's about finding beauty in the midst of suffering, appreciating the small things, focusing on what you can control.
And sometimes it's about accepting that hope can coexist with fear and uncertainty, right?
Right, yeah. It's not about denying those emotions, but about choosing to believe that something good can still come out of a difficult situation.
So hope is a choice then.
It is, yeah. It's a choice. It's a conscious decision to keep going, even when it's hard. And honestly, it can be a really powerful force, one that can sustain us through the toughest of times.
As we wrap up this deep dive into World Cancer Day, I'm struck by how complex this issue really is. It's not just about finding a cure. It's about acknowledging the human experience of cancer, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual.
I agree. It's about embracing that full spectrum of emotions, celebrating those small victories, and supporting each other every step of the way.
World Cancer Day reminds us that even though the journey might be long and maybe really arduous at times, we're not alone in this fight. And even though there aren't easy answers, there is strength in our collective determination, resilience in our shared humanity, and hope in knowing that progress is being made every day.
We've only scratched the surface today, really. But hopefully this deep dive has, maybe sparked your curiosity, given you some new insights, and empowered you to take action in whatever way feels right for you.
Because every action counts, no matter how small. Whether it's educating yourself and others, supporting research, advocating for change, or simply offering a listening ear to someone who's been touched by cancer, you really do have the power to make a difference. Thanks for joining us.